It. Hi, folks. We're going to get started, so. Yeah, I could have. I thought about it. Okay. Bro, you know what time? You got the time?
I did, 9:08.
9:08. Folks. Tina, help me get their attention. Hello. Hi, friends. We're starting. Okay, so thank you. All right. This begins the administrative work agenda. Everybody got it? First thing on the agenda is the 211 Ferry Boulevard, which is right now still tabled until the next, or continued until the next public hearing in October. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on it? Otherwise, we'll just keep going. No, there's no speaking on it, can we? No, that's right. So we're moving on. The text amendment for I'll just read it. The text amendment for the petition of the Stratford Zoning Commission to add a new 15B regarding medical marijuana dispensaries and production facilities and revise 3.3 regarding the moratorium on such facilities. And
Yeah, it's been tabled.
may I have a motion to take it off the table?
Do we speak on it?
Well, it is tabled. Well, we kept it open. Is there any discussion that we want to have? I guess not. No, because so that's going to go. I do want to have one thought to it, though, and Mr. Fuller brought this up a couple of times, and I agree with him. The way this text amendment reads for medical marijuana dispensaries, we really haven't discussed production facilities. And everything we've talked about this far really hasn't addressed that very much. I didn't know if should we revise this text amendment, though? Or would it change it to the point that?
What do you want to change?
It says production.
Production.
Yeah.
It says production facilities.
I think the state already has all their production facilities. I don't think that can be granted anymore.
Yeah, but we have it as part of our text amendment. I mean, we don't have to discuss it now, but it's just,
I don't remember.
No, that's always been a part of it.
it's always been a part of it. I think for legally, we have to not discuss it, but it is a concern that I'm raising, that I agree that when we do discuss it, we should clarify that. Petition of 500 North, they have asked for a continuance. They've withdrawn that.
No, that's before the planning commission right now.
We're continuing until October 31st until we hear from the Planning Commission, their
Oh, is
recommendation.
that what's happening?
Sorry, I'm going to start speaking in the microphone now. Commissioner Paul told me that he could barely hear me when he was listening to the tapes today. Yes, 500 North Avenue, that application would be continued until we get the recommendation from the Planning Commission. They were unable to meet this month, so they asked the petitioner if they'd be willing to hold off, and the petitioner agreed.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And their meeting is what day, Jane?
October,
It's a week before ours.
yes, the week before.
Okay, good, thank you. I didn't know that part of it.
We're not going to say anything on this petition right now as
No.
we're here? We
Let's
can't?
No, we're not. No, we're not.
let's wait for the planning.
Okay, then we have 2339 Barnum Avenue, the petition of Rock Candy Enterprises to seek approval of a liquor location and a grocery beer permit.
Madam Chair, I'll take this one off the chair for 2339 Barnum
Mr.
Ave.
Fuller, second by
Second.
Ms. Peppin, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve this with the normal stipulations we always put with, I don't even know if we have normal, but this one's pretty
Not that I know of. There
straightforward.
might be somewhere, but not that I'm aware
Yeah.
of.
This one's pretty straightforward, and it's also regulated by DRS, which is Revenue Service, and Consumer Protection, which is
That's already
the issuing body. So I'll make a motion to approve this.
Can I ask a question, though? Just,
Yes.
so what do? They submit a menu, and then they watch them for a certain amount of time because they have to sell
The state?
50% of, yeah, before they grant them that?
The state will not give them a liquor permit unless they meet all of the state
Okay.
license
So they
requirements.
must have like a 3-month or
Yeah, and
2-month
to my
where they
understanding,
watch.
they need local zoning approval first
Right.
in order to trigger that next step of
Right.
state
Okay.
review.
But to answer Ms. Pepin's statement, what I understand is they actually will show or submit to the state their sales
Sales,
performance
right. Okay.
to show that. That's part of the application process. Okay, we have a motion on the floor, second by Ms. Pepin, correct?
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. 290 Ferry Boulevard, petition of Majestic Motors LLC seeking approval for a location of a general repairer's license. Is there a motion to take it off the table?
I make a motion.
By Ms. Pepin?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion? Anybody want to make a motion?
Well, this is right next door to the one I guess to the auto shop that we approved a while back. It looks like it's going to work just as clean as long as there's no contamination going on in there, which they said there wasn't. So I would think that we wanted to just approve it based on with the same conditions that we provided to the previous application, and it includes something about contamination, making sure there's no contaminated products. And if there are, they need to be disposed of it in a proper manner. Because I don't really feel comfortable with that product that they were using as far as if it's toxic or not. And then,
Well, let me see if I can find the proper language. They condition it on that they meet the standard requirements set forth by the town's
The standard motor vehicle conditions.
standard motor vehicle conditions. The toxicity would fall under the health department regulations to ensure that there is no toxic not toxic, biohazardous.
wasteful material,
It's
maybe
part of the
we'll call
normal
it.
stipulations
It's
we
part of the
usually-
normal stipulations.
Yeah, okay, it sounds
And
like
Jay
it's-
actually had a very good list that enumerated all of those.
I'm trying to
in the
remember it
packet.
off the top of my head, and I don't, and I know there's like 4 things on it.
I got it in here somewhere, I just can't find it. But if we use that same condition that we used with the
So
previous...
how about the motion to accept based on the standard conditions that we apply for a general repair's license?
Standard motor vehicle conditions.
Standard
Yep.
motor vehicle. Is that acceptable,
That's-
Mr. Paul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll move to that.
I
Motion by
second.
Mr. Paul, second by Ms. Peppin. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Very good. Okay, we're going to go into our other work. Move through this.
Approval of the minutes for August 29.
Thank you. I
I'll
was
make
just
a
going to
motion.
ask for that. Motion by Mr. Fuller,
I
second.
second.
By Ms. Peppin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone oppose?
Madam Chair, I just want to mention one thing. Last month, my daughter had a major surgery, and she had some complications right in the middle of the day, which threw me away from coming to the meeting, and even I forgot to even call into it, so I just wanted to apologize and report that she's okay now.
I'm glad to hear that, and certainly we would understand your excuse.
Yeah,
Excuse
I
me.
also read that in when you text a couple of the members, I made sure to speak that into to the record too, that there was a medical emergency at home. Yeah.
Okay,
glad
we
to-
have a motion and a second. Any other corrections? Hearing none, I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion passes unanimously. No, that wasn't a correction.
Yeah.
No, that was just a notation, a notation.
Notation to the minutes.
Okay. We have a campsite review, but it's on the table, so we're not going to discuss it. Are there any zoning enforcement study complaints? Nope. Accessory apartment applications? Nope. Same thing for number 4, sediment and erosion. That's 211 Ferry Boulevard, so that's going to stay on the table. We won't be discussing it. Planning projects, number 5, Greenway.
Greenway, we are in the process of getting a contract written up with BSC to propose our plan from the boat docks to,
This is Part B of it, right?
This is-
the second part of it.
Part B something, Part BA or Part BB. But that's in the process. So I haven't heard from John Casey yet. He's, he doesn't want to step on any toes, so he's trying to mull around whatever. We the Greenway Committee would like to get this project going. Complete
Great
Streets
project.
is involved and, wants to do one thing, and so we're trying to do it together, but
A lot of moving parts.
A lot of
yeah,
moving
a lot of
parts.
moving parts. And
Is
putting it on
the last I heard, there was a little bit of running around for the grant that was for the first part of the project. Is that now
Yeah, no, we have.
finalized, the
we have-
funding?
We have funding for.
So the funding for the first part is all finalized?
Yeah.
We're moving forward?
We're trying to move forward.
Okay. What's the next step in the first part that we might see? What would there be a groundbreaking or anything like that?
Oh, there might be.
There might- Okay. That sounds good. Moving on. Thank you, Ms. Pepin. I really appreciate that. Number 6. We didn't get a chance to talk about it the last time, but I would like to hear from Jay about the design district concept for the Barnum Avenue Paradise Green.
So I don't remember, just before I go into this, we've had staff out for the past 3 weeks, hard accessing what we sent out last month, so if you got duplicates this month, that's why. So I just wanted to play it safe and make sure we sent everything out. So, yeah, based on our conversations regarding a possible design district for a portion, an undefined portion of Barnum Avenue, as well as an undefined portion of Main Street from Paradise Green towards Stratford Center. Some of the concepts that we discussed were tapered density away from our TOD overlay, but with somewhat similar design standards. We want to see ground floor retail, ground floor offices. Does not necessarily have to be an activated space. It can be a tax office. It can be a dentist's office. Something that isn't necessarily commercial or, retail driven. So this is kind of my initial pitch. I pitched this to OPM for a grant on last year. They loved the idea, but they said that because it was outside of our half-mile radius, that it wouldn't be eligible for TOD money to help design this, but they loved the idea. So we decided that instead of paying someone else to do it, we're going to do it in-house, and this is kind of our initial 30,000-foot view of the concept, what we want to do. We have some draft work program. You're looking at least a year from once you folks say, okay, this is a great idea, we want to go forward with it. It's a year from interviewing stakeholders towards the final regulations and the adoption of our overlay district on Barnum Avenue, as well as an overlay district on North Main Street. Sure.
I like the plan. I read through it. It was wonderful. It's very much of what we all said we wanted to do. It actually nails it. Between now and, say, the next couple of meetings, is there anything that this commission as a body could do, or is it just too far out for us to actually have any impact on it?
No. What I would recommend that you folks do is, and you probably already have, read through this, make any notes, things you love, things you don't like, things that we haven't thought of, that you would like to see in there. Send your comments to me, and then I'll just basically add another page to this that will show all the different comments. We can discuss that, and then depends how quick and how quick we're able to kind of get things going. We may decide that we're going to get it to the point where we get everybody's feedback, we get everybody's comments that they want in there that we've left out, and we hash that out. That can take 2-3 meetings just to kind of hash out what you folks want in it, and then you can either leave it for, because I know there's going to be some turnover in November, leave it to the next commission, or really push it forward.
Is
It's really
there-
up to you.
Is there any opportunity that we could now simultaneously kick it over to planning so that they can also look at it and add their comments while we are looking at our comments at the same time?
Sure. What I would do is I would just send them a copy of this design district concept.
Okay. Do we
And,
need,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to refer to planning.
I couldn't hear you.
I'll make a motion to refer this draft amendment to planning, or this draft concept, or whatever the appropriate term is.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Fuller.
And I also recommend that we use our admin sessions to really kind of also discuss this a little further so we're not jet lagged from public hearings.
Good idea. There's a motion to move this design concept to the Planning Commission so that they can also start reviewing it and discussing it and add their comments simultaneously as we look at it as well. Is there a second?
There's a second.
By Ms. Peppin? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. But it is a really good start.
Good.
Do we have any idea of how much funding we might need for it? Is it too soon to ask?
I'm currently operating under the assumption that there is no funding, that I'm going to have to do it all myself.
Okay.
Good assumption, and if something comes in, all the better.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. What's that?
You're saying if you start with zero and don't assume you're getting any money, when you do get some money, it's that much better.
If we're able to get a planner at some point, then they can really hit the ground running with some of this stuff
some
that
of
we've
this.
already started.
Or a consultant or something like that. Okay, we're done with that. Moving into some of the goal setting. And we've got a number of things in our goal settings. Affordable housing. I don't know if we have anything to add to that right now.
We do.
We do?
Yes.
Okay.
A part of the state of Connecticut has recently offered a new form of affordable housing they're called temporary healthcare structures. I can't remember if this was sent out last month or not. So I sent it out this month. We don't have to discuss it. I just wanted to introduce it, let you all know kind of what's been going on. We have the option to opt out, but that's pretty much it.
Is it possible to have either somebody from Senator Kelly's office, Gomes' office, or the three state reps to come to this commission and explain the legislation?
Sure. I mean, that's what
I mean, there's no-
what my
no-
report is.
Or give some, if they can't attend physically, if they could provide some sort of comment.
Sure.
I think that's a very good
Who would
idea.
you like? Kelly?
Any of them?
Any of them.
Any
we
of
have
them.
5.
All five. See if we can get one.
You work your side, I'll work mine, and hopefully somebody shows up.
Do you folks want to reach out to them, or would you like me to reach out to them?
I'll instruct them to contact you as well.
Feel free to CC me on the email, and then I can kind of take over from the initial email if you'd like.
Okay, but I'm going to jump in here. I'd actually would like Mr. Urbanski to make a formal request from the Planning Administration Office, and that we supplement it with our own connections. This is a formal request, not just their friends. So I'd like for you to actually make that request to them.
Can you tell me who they all are? There was Senator Kelly.
Senator Kelly,
Gomes,
Senator Gomes,
Yep.
Hoydick, McGorty.
State Rep Laura Hoydick, State Rep,
Gordy.
right? McGordy's first
Yeah,
name is,
He's 122.
he's 122.
Well, it's the last one that I'm trying to remember.
Gresco.
Gresco,
Gresco, that's-
Joseph Gresco.
Gordy's mine.
So we have,
3, 4, 5.
5
you
irons
got
in the
5,
fire.
right.
Perfect.
And they can bring anybody else that they want to as well, but I would like to formalize that process a little bit more. Anything else that you want to talk about it while we are here?
I guess, well, no. I have no further comments on it. I think that just something that I want to address towards the end is that we want to make sure we clean up as much of this stuff as possible over the next month or two. October is going to be very, very, very busy. We're going to have a lot on the agenda, and I'm not so sure how much time we're going to have to talk about a lot of this stuff. Our October administrative session has been canceled. So just keep that stuff in mind as we,
We got stuff to do.
excuse me?
Why was it canceled? We have a lot of agenda items here.
Yeah.
It was canceled because of the holiday, we
Oh,
lost our
one of
date.
the Jewish holidays?
Right. No, it was not the Jewish holidays.
Oh,
It
Columbus
was,
Day?
Columbus.
Columbus Day he's a genocidal maniac. Why are we honoring him? There's clearly better Italian Americans to.
We were kicked out.
I refuse
yeah.
to acknowledge that genocidal racist.
Okay, strike that from it.
I wrote
Okay.
history papers on it, so.
Okay, enough fun today. Let's move
Christopher
on.
Columbus.
Let's move
We
on.
still celebrate him.
Okay, off of that, next item on our agenda
Thing we're talking about is
I've read my Howard Zinn.
is parking. Yeah, we don't have anything new on the Army engine plant. We've already got the methadone, the methadone clinic moratorium, we did separate. And we do need to make a decision if we're going to continue that moratorium. So, Mr. Hibansky, we should, as a commission, make a decision if we want to continue that or discuss it and come up with regulation. Mr. Fuller,
I don't think this commission has enough time to adequately.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that one. That's why
I
we separate.
recommend is that we continue a moratorium for a year, so it gives the next zoning commission a little time to figure it out.
You read my mind.
So I make a motion to refer to the planning commission a one-year extension of the methadone clinic moratorium.
Thank you. Is there a second?
There's a second.
By Ms. Peppin. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone oppose? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And that's one thing we can move forward. Mr. Bansky, you know what to do with that, right?
I do.
Okay. Next is parking. Mr. Urbanski's been working very hard on the parking regulation. This is a big thing. And I haven't had a chance to read it in thoroughly, so I'll be honest with you.
Quick question of clarification. Did we refer this to planning before, or this is just something we kept on the?
We just kept it on our agenda. We just didn't have time to get to it, so. It makes it clean for the next commissions that comes forward. Okay, Mr. Bansky, can you talk to us about
Again,
parking?
couldn't remember if this was sent out last month or if this was gone out this month. So for all those who are seeing this for the first time, we'd been discussing tweaking the parking requirements here for the town. We know that some of them we're asking for too much. We think that some of them we might be asking for too little. Some of the possible adjustments that we've looked at is reducing our offices or home occupation parking to allow for smaller businesses to kind of set up growth areas before they can move into a established commercial place in town, hopefully retain those businesses. We were looking at the restaurant, potentially relaxing the restaurant parking somewhat by 15 or 20 square feet. All the comparisons are actually on the chart that's stapled to this, also to some other towns that are comparative size. We also looked at the drive-in restaurants and the industrial manufacturing uses to make them a bit more, less of a burden for some of our applicants. We also want to add some uses that we've never had a parking requirement for, like health clubs and automotive. We see enough automotive and motor vehicle applications to the point where we should be there should be a parking regulation that at least lays out a minimum of parking spaces that they need. Schools, supermarkets, etc. So, there's kind of a lot here, and I think that you folks might need some time to kind of look through this and see how we compare to some of the other towns. What I'm going to do is, our color printer for the legal size is not working. So, you can't really see very well the stuff that's in red here that we want to change. So what I'll do is I'm going to email it to everybody so that it might be a little bit more legible, kind of like the front page. You can see what we're proposing.
In a PDF, so that, yeah. Yep. There is no changes, though, in this recommendation for TOD-related residential parking.
No.
Correct?
No.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Paul?
Just a question. You mentioned TOD parking, but I was just wondering, this doesn't include anything to do with the railroad station parking either? Is that because it's TOD related? Okay.
Maybe I misunderstood your question.
Well, the railroad station, when people are on a waiting list to get parking permits so they can park there, you're not addressing any of that here?
No.
Okay.
I don't think we have the authority.
We
for
don't
that
have the
one.
authority, I was just going to answer that. That's managed by the railroad and the MTA, that's a separate entity entirely. Any other questions, though? Some good questions.
While we're still chewing on this, I think it'd be good to at least refer it to planning to kickstart the whole process.
Same
there.
thing.
I'll make a motion to refer to planning so we could get ahead of the ball a bit. Might as well make them busy, too.
So send them an informal review, similar to the
Yes,
Yeah, just like
design district concept? Okay.
yes. Is there a second to that motion? By Mr. Giuliano? Any other questions? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Motion passes unanimously. We could also look at some joint meetings with the Planning Commission as we talk about a couple of these things, if we need to. All right. I think that pretty much, is there anything else in the work agenda that anybody would like to discuss? I don't think we have anything on the plan of conservation that I know of. Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, I think, and it's really entirely up to the next zoning commission to do this or not, but I definitely think the POCD recommendations to council and even TOD should be permanent or long-standing goal settings from one commission to another anyways, because they're large enough issues. Same thing with affordable housing.
Well, hopefully they will be, and
Yeah, I mean,
some of the
it's entirely
members that
their
are on this
discretion
board
or
are,
not, but
right. It's a possibility that some of the members might continue, but we don't have, our board does not have the authority to dictate a
Yeah.
permanent agenda.
I'd recommend in the last meeting of this board that we vote a formal recommendation to the next. Then if they don't want it, they don't want it, but
We can make a formal, we can request it if that, but you got to understand that we can't dictate to them.
Yeah, no,
And
I
they
mean,
may
they
take
could-
offense that,
they could repeal the whole zoning regulation book too if they wanted, but.
I would respond to that after seeing how many of these commission and boards have traveled over the years. This portion of the goal setting hasn't changed a whole lot. And this next commission may have a lot of new people on it, so they may continue with it. Do you really think it's necessary to tell them?
It never hurts to state the importance.
I don't know. Any other points? Any other thoughts? Dave, do you want to make a recommendation to
No,
encourage?
in our outgoing meeting as on this board, that's why I would recommend that.
Okay. Well, we've got at least another meeting or two. Okay, if there's nothing else, and no other issues, TOD or such, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, you have something?
We're not done yet.
Oh, it's his fault.
Now, I just wanted to say, for 211 Ferry Boulevard, who requested the continuance tonight, they did go to their Waterfront Harbor Management Commission, and we did receive a letter. It should be in everyone's packets I handed out tonight. Just wanted to make sure you folks didn't miss that. That's it.
On that good note, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to
By Ms.
adjourn.
Peppin, second by Mr. Paul. All in favor? Aye. I'm sure nobody's going to object. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Good meeting, very good meeting. Mr. Floric, thank you very much.
Could we request a special meeting? That is Halloween. It's gonna be spooky time on the zoning board.
Did well, 9:30.
Yeah,
Intimidate everybody else.
that's right.
Ms. Peppin and Linda, you did a great job. Thank you. Here, you take this. I don't want to leave that here.